It was supposed to be just another stop. Fill up the tank, grab a coffee, and make it to work on time. Marcus pulled into the Chevron just off Crestview Boulevard, the kind of quiet, rich suburb where the lawns are perfect, and the stairs last a few seconds too long if your skin's too dark. He stepped out of his beat-up black Ford Taurus, still in his plain clothes. Nothing flashy, just a dark blue tee and worn jeans. He moved with calm, calculated ease, the kind that only comes after years of watching people assume things before they speak. He swiped his card, selected the grade, and let the pump handle lock into place. Then came the sound. Heels. Loud. Deliberate. Clacking against concrete like gunshots. He didn't turn, not at first, but the perfume hit next. Strong. Floral. Expensive. And then the voice. "Excuse me." He sighed internally. "Here we go." He turned, slowly, polite smile in place. A white woman in her mid-40s stood beside a spotless white BMW X5. Platinum blonde bob, oversized designer sunglasses, tight fitness wear, and the unmistakable weight of entitlement hanging off her like a winter coat in July. "Yes, ma'am." She gestured lazily toward her SUV. "Be a dear and fill mine up too, will you? I'm running late for Pilates." Marcus blinked, thought maybe he heard wrong. "Excuse me? You're already pumping. What's the difference? Mine's right here. Just do it." He raised his eyebrows. "I'm not a gas station employee." She scoffed. "You don't have to be. I'm asking nicely. I'm very late, and it's not like it's hard." He gave a soft chuckle. "Ma'am, I'm already late myself. You might want to try doing it yourself. Pretty sure that's how this works." Her face twisted. "Are you refusing to help a lady?" "I'm politely declining to be treated like your servant." She stared at him through those thick sunglasses like she was trying to see if he was serious. "You have no idea who you're talking to. I'm on the HOA board of Oak Ridge. I can make one phone call and I'll still be just a guy pumping gas, ma'am." She went quiet for half a beat. Then she reached into her Louis Vuitton bag and pulled out her phone. "You're making me feel unsafe. You're acting aggressive." Marcus didn't flinch, just pulled the nozzle from his car, capped the tank, and gave her a look that was calm, almost amused. "Go ahead." She stared at him, then tapped the screen and brought the phone to her ear. "Yes. Hello. I need assistance. I'm at the Chevron on Crestview Boulevard. There's a man here refusing to help me. He's aggressive, and I feel very threatened. Yes. Yes. He's black." Marcus tilted his head slightly, watched her turn away and keep talking. He caught the way her voice changed, like she was auditioning for a victim role in a courtroom drama. He walked past her, slowly, towards the small store inside the station. As he passed her, he offered a single line, calm and sharp like a razor. "Stay hydrated, ma'am. You're about to sweat." She froze mid-sentence. He grabbed his coffee, paid in silence, stepped back outside. She was pacing now, watching the street, watching him. He didn't rush, just got in his car, started the engine. And as he rolled down the window, she shouted, "He's leaving. He's trying to get away. Officer, hurry!" Marcus looked at her one last time. No smile now, just clarity in his voice. "Ma'am, you just called the cops on a cop." He drove off slowly, leaving behind the stunned silence of a woman who had no idea who she had just picked a fight with. She had no idea the man she just called the cops on was the cops. The smell of burnt toast lingered in the air as Marcus adjusted his wristwatch and grabbed his keys from the kitchen counter. Another Monday. Another chance to smile through the kind of tension only someone in his shoes could feel. His apartment was clean, minimal, walls bare except for one framed photo of his parents, both veterans. He'd followed in their footsteps, not in uniform, but still serving. Detective Marcus Allen. Quiet, smart. A man who never looked for trouble but could smell it before it even crossed the street. He poured himself a cup of black coffee. Bitter. No sugar. Like most mornings lately. The clock on the stove read 7:46 a.m. He was already late. Not that anyone would say anything, but he knew how it looked. A black man walking into a precinct full of sideways glances and under-the-breath comments. They smiled to his face, but they saw a badge before they ever saw a man. He'd learned to ignore it. Mostly. Outside, the streets of Crestview moved in slow rhythm. Sprinklers buzzed over manicured lawns. A white kid rode his scooter down the sidewalk. Two moms jogged in matching Lululemon sets, pushing designer strollers with one hand and holding iced oat milk lattes in the other. Marcus drove through it like a shadow in daylight. His Taurus sputtered at the red light. Old but reliable, like him. He tapped the steering wheel lightly, eyes scanning traffic, not out of paranoia, but habit. He had no sirens, no flashing lights, no uniform. And still, every time he pulled into a gas station or stood in line at a convenience store, people watched him like he was up to something. Like he didn't belong in the same places they did. He'd stopped trying to correct them. This morning, though, he just wanted peace. He wasn't chasing a suspect, wasn't in a briefing room, wasn't even in the mood to argue with his captain about budget cuts or broken printers. He just wanted gas and caffeine. Nothing more. And maybe, somewhere deep down, he hoped for one morning, just one, where no one asked him where he was really from, or why he looked familiar, or what he did for a living while staring too long at the holster-shaped bulge under his hoodie. The Chevron on Crestview had always been quiet. Rich neighborhood, minimal drama. He'd fueled up there dozens of times without issue. It wasn't like the stations closer to downtown, where you kept one eye on the pump and the other on your surroundings. Here, the biggest danger was overpriced kombucha. So he pulled in with the hope that maybe today would be simple. He didn't know, as he stepped out of his car, that someone else had decided otherwise. Someone who saw his skin before his calm. Someone who thought her time mattered more than his existence. Marcus didn't see her at first, didn't hear the heels, didn't notice the white BMW parked across the lot like a trophy on wheels. He was focused on the pump, the numbers ticking up, and the silence of a morning he wasn't ready to share with the world. But the world had other plans. And in Crestview, people like Marcus were only welcome, as long as they stayed quiet. He took another sip of coffee, leaned against his car, and let the hum of the pump drown out the noise in his head. He didn't know that 30 seconds from now, a voice would shatter that quiet. Or that this morning, like so many before, would remind him that no matter how hard you work, how much you serve, or how politely you smile, in the wrong eyes, you're still just a threat with a face. Marcus never saw it coming. Not the voice, not the attitude, not the entitled chaos dressed in yoga pants and rage. "Excuse me," she barked again, louder now, heels stabbing into concrete as she stormed over. "Are you even listening?" He turned slowly, eyes steady. "Sorry?" She jabbed a manicured finger toward her BMW. "I asked you to fill my car. It's the least you can do." "The least I can do?" he echoed, confused. "Yes," she snapped. "I'm running late, and I don't have time to mess around with this thing." Marcus glanced at the nozzle in his own car, still filling. "Ma'am, this isn't a full-service station." She scoffed, lips curling into a sneer. "Don't play games. Just be helpful. It's not hard." He kept his tone even. "Respectfully, I don't work here, and I've got somewhere to be too." "You people always have an excuse," she muttered, shaking her head. That hit like a cold slap, subtle but soaked in venom. "I'm sorry," he asked, tone sharper now. She put her hand on her hip. "You heard me." He stepped back slightly, eyes locked. "Ma'am, I'm just trying to fill my tank." She laughed bitterly. "Aggressive now, are we? Wow, so quick to change tone." Marcus inhaled slowly. The pump clicked. Full. He replaced the nozzle without another word, trying to end this quietly. He started to turn back toward his car. That's when she grabbed her phone. "No, you don't get to threaten me and walk away. I'm calling the police." "For what?" he asked, not moving. "For making me feel unsafe. For refusing to help a woman in distress." Marcus stared at her like she was speaking another language. "You're calling 911 because I didn't pump your gas?" She held the phone up. "Yes, you're hostile, uncooperative, and frankly, you're making me very uncomfortable." He didn't respond, just watched her tap the numbers and lift the phone to her ear. 911. What's your emergency?" "Yes, I'm at the Chevron on Crestview. I need police here immediately. A man is threatening me." "Can you describe him, ma'am?" "Yes. He's tall, muscular, dark skin, black." Marcus looked away for a second, biting his tongue. She kept going, putting on a performance like it was Broadway. "He's refusing to leave me alone, and I feel endangered. He's blocking me from accessing the pump. I think he's dangerous." He stepped back, crossing his arms. "Really?" She didn't even look at him. "Yes, officer. And he's filming me now." She paused. "Oh, he just took something out of his pocket. I don't know what it is. I'm scared." Marcus didn't have anything in his hand. She was lying, without a single flinch. He wanted to scream. Instead, he exhaled, calm and steady. "Make sure you spell my name right when they get here," he said dryly. She turned sharply. "Excuse me?" "You'll need it. For the report." "What report?" "The one where you'll need to explain why you made a false call." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. He took a step toward his car. "I'm leaving," he said, loud enough for witnesses nearby to hear. "I've done nothing wrong. I'm not staying for a fake accusation." She spun around, panic rising. "He's leaving! Officer, he's getting in his car! Stop him!" Marcus slid into his seat. The leather cracked slightly under him. He turned the key. She shouted louder, still on the phone, pacing in front of her car. "He's driving away! Are you listening? You need to arrest him!" He rolled down the window. "You might want to move," he said. She stood frozen in front of the Taurus. "Ma'am," he said again, firmer. She stumbled to the side, breathing hard. He pulled out slowly, calm and steady, not rushing, not hiding. She watched him go, phone trembling in her hand, mouth opening and closing like she couldn't believe what just happened. He didn't look back, but her voice followed him through the open window. "You can't just leave. You'll be sorry." He didn't answer. She had no idea who she had just threatened. She had no idea that the man she just labeled as dangerous was walking into the police station as his next stop. And she had no idea that karma was riding in the front seat. The front doors of the precinct hissed open with a familiar creak as Marcus walked in, coffee in hand and a smirk playing at the edge of his lips. The station buzzed with Monday morning energy. Officers typing reports, radios chirping, phones ringing, and the occasional curse word about broken printers or half-cooked vending machine sandwiches. Marcus headed straight for the back, nodding at the front desk sergeant, who barely looked up. No one questioned why he was a bit late. They never did. He got the job done, and he did it quiet. He stopped outside Captain Reynolds's office and knocked twice. "Come in." The captain, a sharp-eyed woman with salt and pepper hair and zero tolerance for nonsense, looked up from her desk. "Alan, something wrong?" "Maybe," Marcus said casually, stepping in. "You might want to send someone to the Chevron on Crestview. There's a situation." She raised an eyebrow. "Details?" He kept his face neutral. Entitled woman losing her mind over not getting her way. Might have dialed 911. Claims harassment. Said she was being threatened. Reynolds leaned back in her chair. "Threatened?" "Yep." "By who?" Marcus took a sip of his coffee. "She didn't say a name." There was a pause, just long enough for her to raise an eyebrow. "She said he was tall, black, refused to help her, made her feel unsafe." Captain Reynolds narrowed her eyes. "You serious?" "Dead serious," Marcus replied, keeping his tone flat. She grabbed her tablet, typed something in. "Fine. I'll send Miller. He's got a light morning. Go do something productive, Alan." "Already am," Marcus said as he turned to leave. "This one's gonna be good." He spent the next 20 minutes in the records room, sorting files, pretending to work. But his mind was glued to the gas station. He knew Karen wouldn't let it go. She wasn't built that way. She wanted consequences. She wanted someone cuffed just to feed her ego. So he waited. And he didn't wait long. At exactly 9:12 a.m., the dispatch window buzzed open. Kevin, a rookie on his second month, peeked out from behind his screen with a grin stretching across his face. "Detective Allen." "Yeah?" "You'll want to hear this." Marcus leaned against the window. "She's still there," Kevin said. "Miller's on scene. She's demanding an arrest, says she's traumatized, wants to file harassment charges." Marcus chuckled. "And Miller?" "Trying not to lose it. She's talking about pressing charges for—" "Hold on." Kevin checked his notes. "Emotional terrorism." Marcus nearly spit his coffee. "You're kidding." "Swear to God, she said she was racially endangered." Marcus rubbed his temple. "Kevin, do me a favor. Patch me through to Miller. Quiet line." "You sure?" "Trust me." A moment later, the line clicked. "Detective Allen?" came Miller's voice. "Yep." "Thank God. This lady's out of her mind. Keeps talking about community trauma and gas pump etiquette violations." Marcus exhaled slowly. "I have a plan." "I'm listening." "Ask her to describe the man again. Height, build, car, the works." Miller sounded confused. "Why?" "Just do it. Trust me." There was a pause. "Okay, she says he's about 6 feet. Black, early 30s, blue shirt, jeans, driving a— wait for it, a black Ford Taurus." Marcus smiled. Perfect. Miller hesitated. Alan, that's... I know. Another pause. You want me to arrest her? Number, I want you to invite her to the station. Tell her it's policy, that she needs to sign her formal complaint in person. Make it sound official. Make it sound urgent. Tell her you'll drive her in. You think she'll buy that? Oh, she'll love it. Copy that. 1 hour later, Marcus was sitting in the corner of the break room, watching as Kevin passed by with 2 coffees and mouthed the words, "She's here." Marcus stood up, adjusted his badge, and walked toward the waiting area with calm steps and steady breath. He peeked around the corner, and there she was, Karen, still in her fitness gear, still furious, clutching her designer purse like it was a weapon, tapping her foot, impatient, entitled, and completely unaware of what was coming next. Marcus stepped into the waiting area like a man walking into a movie he already knew the ending to. Karen sat stiff in the plastic chair near the front desk, arms crossed, lips pursed into a pouty snarl. She glanced up and froze. Her sunglasses slipped just slightly down the bridge of her nose as recognition hit her. "You," she stammered, pointing. He offered a polite nod. "Good morning, ma'am. I'm Detective Marcus Allen. I understand you're here to file a complaint?" The silence was heavy. Her jaw clenched. Her breath caught. You were at the gas station." "That's right," he said calmly, voice measured, almost bored. "The man you just accused of threatening you? That would be me." Her face turned a shade paler than her powdered cheeks could hide. "But... Officer Miller, he said you'd been arrested." He leaned forward slightly. "That's funny, because I never even left work." Her eyes darted toward the door. I didn't know you were..." "A detective?" he said, letting the word land with weight. "Yeah, surprise." She stood up suddenly, clutching her bag. This is outrageous. I was misled. I was told I needed to come here to sign something." "You did," he said, not flinching, "to sign your formal complaint. That was your intention, right?" Karen blinked, unsure what to say. "Because here's the thing," Marcus continued, calm as ever. "Making a false report to 911? That's a felony in this state, especially when you falsely describe the subject, fabricate danger, and waste department resources." She backed up half a step. "I didn't lie. I felt unsafe." "For what? A man filling his car with gas? Who didn't speak until you spoke to him?" "I felt threatened." "You felt entitled," he corrected. "Big difference." She dropped her bag onto the chair. "I want to leave." "You're not under arrest," he said, "but we do need to document what happened. Now, I can either file the charge against you, or you can write a statement, a formal apology, and this ends here." Karen looked like her insides had collapsed. "You can't be serious." He said nothing. Her hands shook. She stared at the blank form on the clipboard now placed in front of her by Officer Miller. She picked up the pen with trembling fingers. "I didn't know," she mumbled, "that I was a cop, or that your words carry weight when you weaponize skin color." She said nothing, just kept writing. The room was quiet except for the scratching of her pen and the click of Marcus's boot as he shifted his stance. When she finished, she handed the paper over without making eye contact. He skimmed it. "This says you apologize for the misunderstanding." She nodded quickly. "Yes." He shook his head. Add false accusation. You called me dangerous. You tried to get me arrested. Her lips thinned, but she took the clipboard back and added the words. When she finally finished, he looked it over and nodded. All right, you're free to go. Karen didn't wait for another word. She grabbed her purse and bolted for the door, her designer sneakers squeaking against the floor. Marcus watched her leave with the kind of look a man gives to a storm that finally passed. Miller leaned over and whispered, "That was cold." Marcus didn't smile. That was justice. Karen sat stiff in the small interview room, the walls around her suddenly feeling too close. Her perfect posture from earlier had wilted, her shoulders slumped, her hands clutching the edge of the cheap wooden table like it might save her. Marcus walked in with a file folder in one hand, calm and unreadable. Behind him, Officer Miller leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching silently. Marcus sat down slowly, placed the file on the table, and looked at her without blinking. "Do you know what a false police report does, Mrs. Henderson?" Her eyes darted to the floor. "I already apologized." He nodded slightly. "You did, and it was noted." "But I didn't know," she added quickly. "You weren't in uniform. How was I supposed to know you were—" "A human being?" Marcus interrupted. "Because that's all I was doing. Being human. Until you decided I was a threat." "I felt uncomfortable," she whispered. "You felt entitled," he said again. "And you used race as a weapon. That's not discomfort. That's discrimination." She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Marcus slid the file forward. "Here's what I'm offering. You write a full apology. Not some half-baked paragraph. A real one. You admit what you did, why you did it, and who you hurt." She swallowed hard. "And if I don't?" He leaned back. "Then we file formal charges. Filing a false police report. Racially motivated public disturbance. Civil liability for misuse of emergency services. This precinct will press charges. And once it hits the papers, well, I'm sure your country club will be thrilled." Her face drained of color. "I could lose everything," she whispered. "You tried to take everything from me," he replied. "I didn't mean—" "But you did," he cut in. "You meant to cause trouble. You meant to have me arrested. You meant to watch a black man in handcuffs while you stood there feeling powerful." Her lips trembled. "And for what?" he continued. "Because I didn't pump your gas?" Karen looked down. "I didn't realize it would go this far." "It always goes this far for us," Marcus said quietly. "That's what you don't understand." The silence sat heavy between them. Then she picked up the pen. "For the next 5 minutes," she wrote. She paused once to wipe a tear with the sleeve of her designer jacket. Then again when she had to write the words, "I falsely accused a black man because of my own bias." Marcus didn't rush her. He let the weight of every sentence settle on her shoulders. When she finally slid the paper across the table, it was smeared at the edges with her fingerprints, a mix of sweat, makeup, and whatever shame she had left. He read it in silence. Then, without a word, he folded the paper neatly and placed it into the file folder. "That'll do?" Karen stood slowly, as if her bones had lost their strength. "Can I go now?" He nodded. As she turned to leave, he added, "Oh, and Mrs. Henderson?" She stopped, hand on the doorframe. "You might want to stay away from Crestview Chevron for a while. They don't take kindly to liars." She nodded once, then disappeared down the hallway, her steps echoing with a different kind of clack now. Not entitlement, but defeat. Miller looked over at Marcus. That was intense. Marcus exhaled. That was necessary. A few days later, Captain Reynolds called him into her office. She tossed a thin manila envelope onto her desk. "Guess who filed a formal complaint against you?" she said, smirking. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "You're kidding." "Nope," said she experienced emotional trauma due to systemic intimidation by law enforcement. He snorted. "That woman has nerve." Reynolds leaned back, kicked her feet up. "I filed it where it belongs." She nodded toward her trash bin, the circular file. "And that," she said, "is that." Marcus walked out of her office without another word. Outside, the morning sun finally peeked through the gray clouds. He zipped up his jacket, slid on his sunglasses, and headed to the parking lot. The world hadn't changed, but today, one woman's perception had. And sometimes, that's where justice starts. The coffee shop near the station was quiet that afternoon. No rush, no noise, just the gentle hum of conversation and the occasional hiss of the espresso machine. Marcus sat in the corner, same seat he always took. Window view, warm mug in hand. This was his ritual. After every storm, after every long day, this was where he found the silence to breathe again. He watched people pass outside. A man walking his golden retriever. A delivery driver balancing too many boxes. A kid on a skateboard failing another trick but laughing anyway. The world moved on, like always. He sipped his coffee, black as ever, and let his mind settle. Miller slid into the seat across from him without a word, setting down a brown paper bag with a half-eaten bagel sticking out. "She really filed that complaint, huh?" Marcus nodded slowly. "She did." "And Reynolds trashed it?" Marcus gave the faintest smile. "Filed it in the circular cabinet with honor." They sat in silence for a while. "You ever get tired of it?" Miller asked quietly. Marcus didn't answer right away, just watched the light flicker off the glass tabletop. "Some days," he said eventually, "but not today." Miller nodded. "You handled that clean," he said. "Could have pushed harder. Could have made a scene." "I didn't need to," Marcus replied. "She made it herself." He paused, then added, "We don't always get to choose what people see when they look at us. But sometimes, we get to show them what they were too blind to see before." Miller leaned back in his seat, letting that sink in. Outside, a police cruiser passed by, lights off, calm. A reminder of the uniform Marcus wore, even when it wasn't visible. He didn't need a badge on his chest to know who he was. He'd walked into that gas station as a man just trying to get to work. He left it as a symbol of what happens when patience wears thin, and respect is still optional. But now he was just a man with his coffee, in a city that still needed fixing. Across the cafe, the barista turned up the radio slightly. A soulful blues track drifted through the air. Marcus stood up, grabbed his coat, and looked out the window one last time. The clouds had parted. He took a deep breath, stepped outside, and walked toward his car. Another day would come, another case, another moment where someone would assume the worst before knowing anything at all. But this time, someone learned something. Maybe small, maybe just one person. But that's how it starts. And as he pulled out of the parking lot, tires crunching softly against gravel, Miller's voice echoed from behind. "Hey, Alan, what did she want again?" Marcus rolled his window down, sunlight catching the corner of his shades. She wanted gas, he said. For free. He paused. Let the words hang. Justice cost a little more. And then he drove off, into a day that finally felt earned.